Mayor G. Good morning, Vietnam!
Good morning, everyone. Well, we got, is this on? Yes. We got the to cooperate with us. We have a great day. We have a great turnout. To all of our Vietnam veterans, welcome home. Will everybody please stand? Port 5 Color Guard, we're posted to color. And salute. 2. Wendy, step up. Wendy Terenzio is going to sing the national anthem.
Make it down closer.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Wendy. Nice job. Great. I'm going to introduce the chaplain of
Louder, Bill.
Post 196 to present our invocation.
Good.
His name is Louis.
Saber.
Shouldn't have given him my name yet until I did it. I wasn't any good.
See how big I am?
didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to be the chaplain for 196. Wonderful, wonderful post. I've done it for 5 years. And the hardest thing that I had to do in 5 years is this morning. About a month ago, I was asked to do the invocation. And I did it about 10 times on a piece of paper in front of me, in front of my computer. And nothing came out. It was amazing how difficult it is. You see, I grew up with these guys. I know you look at them now. These fellas are all boys and girls. They're all the same generation. They're 19 years old when they went. And I said to myself, what am I going to do about a prayer that could equal what they did? And I said to myself, no, God said, you're not going to make it, kid. Think of something else. So I did. And I'm going to tell you what happened. That's right. You see, these young boys and girls, that's who they were, they went over to Vietnam. And they were filled with patriotism and, excuse me, Lord, piss and vinegar. Boy, they were ready to fight. And when they got there, they didn't understand what was waiting for them. You see, what was waiting for them was the evil mistress of Vietnam. That's right, evil. The most evil person in the world, entity in the world. Yes, she was in charge of death. All around her, the aura of death was paramount. This is the evil mistress, of Vietnam. Well, where did she come from? When the kids got over there, she took each one of them and she said, 58,000 of you are going to die right here. And they did. 6,000 of our lives, they're in graves too. And 1.2 million people in Vietnam, boys and girls, moms and dads, children, are all gone. Because of this evil mistress, she couldn't be satiated, no matter what. The other day, I mentioned what I was going to talk about to a pastor. And I said, what do you think? And he said, well, look, it sounds like it was something the devil created. And I said, no, it wasn't the devil. No, it was those politicians in Washington, along with those politicians in Hanoi. And they hollered at each other and said, I'm right and you're wrong. And I'll bet you 10,000 lives. And I said, I'll up you 50,000 lives. And they went back and forth. These guys never went to war. Their kids never went to war. They're at home now. They're going to die in their beds. But all these young kids, they're gone. They're gone. When these boys and girls got to Vietnam, that evil mistress, the first thing she did was to make them see things that they shouldn't see. No one should see. They won't tell you what they saw. Maybe with each other they might talk about it, but not to us, because it was too horrible. It was too terrible, too shameful. That's right. And then she turned around and made them hear things that no one should have to hear. They heard babies crying, mom and dad, in villages, bombed with napalm, screaming for death after being so burned. Oh my God. And the worst of all was that he took their friends. Yes, Tommy, Janie, Mark, Jed, and Eric. We had breakfast with them yesterday. We chowed down with them. We talked about going home. What's your number? When are we going to go home? What's your favorite song? You know, I got to get out of this place. The green grass of home. And then today I look over and the bunk is empty. He's gone. Where is he? He's in an aluminum casket in a 130 going home. Yeah, along with 30 or 40 other young boys and girls. And there's some poor slob that's going to sit with them for 9-10 hours. Some boy to watch over them. And when that plane lands in Delaware, and people are going to get him with the mortuary crowd, those are our guys too, and girls. And they had to put these bodies back together again so the families could have something to bury. And this poor kid that watched them was in tears because they talked to him all the way home. Why should I die? Why did I die? I don't know. What a terrible, terrible thing. What can we do? And I said to myself, what can I do? I'm a lowly chaplain. I can't do much unless I use everybody here. You help me out. We can ask for maybe one thing that we could have. Ask God. And I thought about it. A couple of months ago, I was on the phone with a guy, and he couldn't sleep. It's 11 o'clock at night, he calls me up. No, I still can't sleep. It's terrible. I get up in the middle of the night, and I'm standing in the bedroom, and my wife has to come up and say, come on, Bob, let's go back to bed. And I'm crying my eyes out, and I don't know why. Last week, my grandkids came over, and they helped me back to bed. They don't know why Grandpa's crying. We know why he's crying. But anyway, he doesn't know why he's crying. What is he going to do? So I said, I know what we could ask for. Maybe one thing. That's all I'm good for. Just maybe one thing that can help them. God, let's give them the sleep of innocence. Now, what is the sleep of innocence? Think of a new guy, a dad, and a mom, and they have a 4-year-old, and they're putting them to bed. What a beautiful sight. The greatest thing that God ever did. And this 4-year-old is smiling, and you're looking up, and he's smiling because he knows that book they have, and they're going to read to him, is a book about fairies and wonderful things, and he's already smiling. He can't read, but he knows what's in that book. And they start reading, and they tell him about the fairies, and how when the fairy waves her wand, everything is beautiful. And you see the butterflies fly millions of colors, and you're in a beautiful land in the west, where the sun always shines, and it's always beautiful and warm. What a nice place. And the unicorns can be seen in slow motion going across the backdrop. What a place. And the little child, when they wake up, they look at mom and dad and blink once, maybe blink twice, and then they're going to go to sleep, the sleep of innocence, the beautiful sleep of innocence. And when they wake up, they're going to be so refreshed. They're going to love life. That's what we want to do. Please, Lord, do that for us. Just that one thing. Okay, I'm not asking a lot, and I got a whole lot of people who are going to help me out doing this thing. Asking at the same time. All right? And if you do this for us, Lord, we'll pay you back. We'll all try to be better people for a week. Oh, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Let's go for a whole goal. Let's do it, okay? Do it for me, do it for God. And do it for all these wonderful young men and women who did so much for us. And Lord, before I go, thank you so much for those who didn't go. Those who are gone. We know who they are. You know. Take him into the palms of your hands. Bring them up to the warmth of your heavenly embrace and give them the love, the respect, and the honor that they deserve. And tell them, oh Lord, we love them. We love them now, and we love them to death. Thank you, God. If this be your will, then let it be. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful.
Thank you, Lou. Everybody can be seated, please. Go rep up. I need you to step up to the podium. This is the 3rd year that we've done Vietnam Veteran Day on the Green in Milford. And it's been amazing. This year being our 50th reunion. We called it a reunion because it's all about remembrance, remembering the 58,000 veterans, Vietnam veterans who lost their life. It's all about awareness, bringing awareness to the veterans that have passed away from Vietnam-related illnesses and the veterans that are still suffering today from Vietnam-related illnesses. And it's all about camaraderie, and it's all about unity. We're all this is our welcome home day, and I'm looking around and folks, this is amazing. So I'm going to take one moment and just give you a quick little speech. The three of us standing here put this program together. To my left is Tom Jackson, United States Marine Corps. To my right, Bill Repko, United States Marine Corps, and myself, United States Navy. The three of us graduated from Roger Ludlow High School in 1965, served different places but during the same time, and we've stayed as friends all of our lives. This gentleman to my left and I went to kindergarten together. So it goes to show that there is a lot of camaraderie and unity among veterans. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Tom Jackson.
Well, Bill is correct. We did go to kindergarten together, but he always kicked sand in my face.
Good job,
And
Billy.
this is my way of getting even. But I would push him down the shooty chute and say, well, that made it okay. Talk about Vietnam. I myself spent 11 months in country. You know, God bless this day. We never saw a day like this in Vietnam. It either rained or it rained. It was either hot or it was hot. The bugs were the size of dogs. Snakes were everywhere. But we worked every single day with each other. We took care of one another. We looked at one another. And we need much more of that today here. We need to take care of each other. Yeah, thanks. Here's Billy Repko. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the mayor of Milford to the small city with a big heart. When we approached Tony and his assistant Justin about what we wanted to do, we got no pushback at all. All they said was, we're on your side, we'll help you out, let us know what you need, and we'll be there for you. And you can take a look around, and it's exactly what they've done. So I want to introduce Mayor of Milford, Tony Giantasio.
Thank you so much. And good morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
Today, we open our hearts. We thank our veterans for fighting for our freedoms, so we can demonstrate here today at our historic green in downtown Milford. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you, to see the American flags wave on such a beautiful day, to honor our Vietnam veterans in this 50th anniversary Welcome Home premier event. We share the scars of the past, but we look to the future. Today, I proudly wear my American flag lapel. What makes this so special to me in my heart, it was given to me by a Milford veteran. Someone who also worked on this committee, a friend, a veteran. I'd like to introduce a round of applause for Walter Hagendorn. Thank you, Walter. Thank you for your service, and thank you for all your services throughout the armed forces who are here today. And the families, we cannot forget the families that endured the pain, the anguish of what happened
and their family members, men and women, returned home after Vietnam. Our hearts go out to them as well. After this event, I look forward to seeing all of you at the Veterans Auditorium at Parsons to present a proclamation on behalf of the city of Milford. It will be my honor and my privilege to honor those Vietnam veterans who have roots here in Milford. Thank you, God bless you, and let's support our veterans.
Okay, I'd like to introduce U.S. Army Vietnam Veteran State Representative 57th District from 1999 to 2011, and the author of the bill 5352, which made Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day official. Ted Graziani.
Welcome home. And more importantly, thank you very much for your service. We never heard those words. And I'm sorry to say those that preceded us never heard those words. It was a terrible time. And we persevered. Well, let's go back in history for a while. When the Marines first landed in Da Nang, March 8, 1965, that was the start of it. Then as the war progressed, sometimes they called it the conflict, we call it the war, we committed more and more men and women to Vietnam. Did we have a plan? In my opinion, no. I volunteered for the draft when I was 18, went in August 22nd, 1966. I got out June 6, 1968. I extended my tour in Vietnam for 2 more months so I can get there early out. They were going to send me to Texas, and I said to my post commander, once I'm home, I'm home. The only way you can do that is to extend your tour, which I did. And I regret, not that I served, but how my family handled it, particularly my mother, who was under doctor's care, and I didn't know about it. And then we had what happens, a crowd like this. When we were growing up in the 60s and 70s, it was more of an anti-war protest. They were burning their draft cards, and they were yelling, hell no, we won't go. But we took an oath, and that oath was not only to serve our country, but to serve the rest of our life. We raised our right hand. And we didn't have any options. If you get your orders, you get your orders. It's not like saying, who wants to go to a country, who wants to go to a foreign country? How many people are going to raise their hand? How many people want to go to a foreign country where you don't know the language? How many want to go to a foreign country where you don't know the terrain, the most important thing? The language, the whole thing. We went not knowing what to expect. And we didn't know the culture either. So we had 3 strikes against us immediately. And I want to thank the Navy in particular, don't take this personally, for taking me over there by boat. With 2 troop carriers. We left San Francisco. But the biggest thing we had, we turned around and said, thank you for the ride, and don't become Jody when we come home. I don't know if everybody knows the meaning of Jody. It was those that were at home, your husbands, your wives, your girlfriend. Jody was taking care of them when we were gone. Well, that was the standard joke, if you will. But let's say how Vietnam developed, how quickly it developed, dividing this country. On January 21st, 1968, at Khe Sanh, the VC bombarded for 77 consecutive days the Marine compound. 10 days later, the 10 offensive. We weren't prepared for any of this. The VC fooled us. And by that I mean, we all thought everything our intelligence said, it's going to be Khe Sanh. Khe Sanh cannot fall. So a lot of troops went up there. So what happened with the 10 offensive? They hit every town, every hamlet, and even the city of Saigon, the capital city. Goes to show you what we tried to endure. And also, let's not forget the family members, as we talked before. As I mentioned, my mother was under doctor's care. My father was a proud World War II veteran. He served in Normandy. Someone help me out here. And he served at the Battle of the Bulge. So he knew what it was like. And he intercepted the mail that I sent home. And it wasn't like we had cell phones. It usually took 3 to 4 weeks before we even received our first letter. And we had no idea what was going on at home until we found out real fast. I flew back into San Francisco, took my fatigues off immediately. No one was there. Flew to Connecticut, where I live in Ellington. Nobody was there except my family. And in the back of our minds, we're thinking, what happened like World War II? Parades and everything like that. None of that. Even Korea. So we moved on and we pretended we never went there. I had a buddy of mine in the United States Air Force. He served 8 years. 4 years in Vietnam, and he couldn't get a job. They asked him what did he do? He said, well, I was in Vietnam, did this. No one took it. Then he figured it out. He says, I am not going to fulfill those years in. So when he went to the employer for another interview, they said, what did you do for those 4 years? It's time missing. He said, I helped my father and grandfather pick the paper. And they hired him. And the road that we took was not a pleasant road. And if I might share a quick story about the nurses and the doctors, the unsung heroes. Without them, there would have been more names on that wall. And think about it, when they were flying in the wounded, they had to make snap decisions as they were bringing them in. This one can live, this one we can't save. And the ones that they can't save, they put them in the back of a tent. Imagine making that decision spontaneously. And Nurse Penny Rock, we called her Lieutenant Angel. She shared a story with us. And I'd like to share it with you because it means a great deal. They were flying in the wounded. Took care of this Marine, and for some reason they had a bond. He was like 18, 19 years old, but he couldn't talk. Something wrong with his vocal cord. The only way he could communicate is writing a note down. So, Penny and the Marine had a bond just by looking at each other. And he finally wrote and said, hey Penny, I'm not going to make it, am I? And Penny said, looked into the soldier's eyes and just said, you made it. 24 hours later, when she's doing the rounds, he takes his notepad again out. And he says, I know I'm not going to make it, but when it's my time, please sing the lullaby that they used to sing. Crawled up on the cot, hugged him, start singing the lullaby, and the soldier passed away in her arms. That's what war is about. No one knows that. And it's a shame the way the country treated us. It's a damn shame. No one should deserve to be treated like us. As someone said, they blame the warrior and not the politician. And that's inexcusable. But we had every right, the Vietnam veterans, to be bitter, angry, the way we were treated. But we said to ourselves as a group, whatever happened to us, it's never going to happen to anybody else. So now they have pre-mobilization, 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days out before they go out. Then they have post-mobile when they come back, 30, 60, and 90 days out to check on it. I went from a bunker, and 36 hours later, I was home. Things have changed, so I'm proud to say I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I never thought I'd live to see the day where people started wearing Vietnam War era hats. That means a lot to us. I have to say, events like this that makes us in our heart. And we can't thank enough of you. And like I said, our legacy as the Vietnam Veterans Association is going to disband eventually 2026, 2028, because we're not taking any other members that can serve in Vietnam. But I just want to say, our legacy as Vietnam veterans, and we're proud. We didn't turn our back on anybody. We made it so that the families and then the soldiers will always be briefed and taken care of. Now we have the citizen soldiers. They do more than one tour. We did a year. Most of their tours were 9 months. But how many times did you go to the damn well with the same people? 3 or 4 times. And if you think you don't come back the same, you're right. You don't come back the same. With that, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm very proud to stand with you. And thank you for standing next to me. Before I move on to our next speaker, I had in my list and sort of went by it. The band is going to play the branches of the services, and all the branches are posted, and will be posted by the 4-5 color guard. Did the band leave? Paul? There he is. Ready? We're ready. Attention.
short, they made me an Army lieutenant.
I want to thank Paul Mayer, member of Port 5, and the magnificent brass band that he showed up with this afternoon. Thank you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge a guest, State Representative Kathy Kennedy. Could you please step forward and give a round of applause? My next guest is a personal friend of mine. He was the commander at Fort 5. He's commander at VFW Post 7788. He's a two-tour Vietnam veteran, Master Chief, U.S. Navy Seabees, and he received the Silver Star for Valor in Combat. Without further ado, let me introduce Master Chief Rich Iannucci.
Thank you all for attending today. It is my honor to be here to celebrate the 50th reunion of the ending of the Vietnam War. It is also great to return to the great city of Milford, where I lived from 1972 to 1982. I've always admired the city and its residents for the support that they have given the military and the veterans. I can remember marching in many parades with VVA 251, and also a fellow member who passed away last year, Emery Linton. We'd like to thank the committee for taking the time to organize this great event. I started out my military career in 1968 when I joined the United States Navy and got to serve with the Seabees. With under 90 days in the service, I deployed to Vietnam with Mobile Construction Battalion 7 as a squad leader with Charlie Company. Flying to Vietnam, I did not know what to expect. I knew one thing: I was scared. Watching the war on the news every night was enough to scare anyone. It seems all they reported was the body counts of the day's casualties. As the plane landed in Da Nang, the rear ramp lowered, and I was hit with the dreadful heat and a smell that I will never forget. As I walked down the ramp, the first thing that I saw were flag-draped coffins of American servicemen killed in action. After departing the plane and waiting for transportation to go forward, I watched forklifts load those caskets on the same plane that I got off. I broke into a cold sweat and had a sick feeling in my stomach. I will never forget that sight. During my 2 tours of Vietnam, I served with some of the finest men that ever lived. They served with honor, courage, and commitment to support each other in the fight for freedom and democracy. Today in front of me, the podium here, I brought 7 flags with me to honor the 7th men that I served with that lost their life on the battlefields of Vietnam. 1, builder constructionman Glenn Jackson, died in my arms on the tarmac of Landing Zone Baldy. First Class Petty Officer Charles Townsend died on my birthday. Constructionman John Van Dusen and Seaman Roger Scholler died within 10 feet of my position. Whenever I take part in a ceremony or Veterans Day holiday, I always bring them with me. I will never forget them or leave them behind. To this day, there are many times that I see their faces and hear their voices, as if they were here. There were times that we cried, there were times that we laughed. It's been over 50 years, but there are still some nights when I close my eyes and try to fall asleep. I live the events of the war all over again. We're gathered here to remember the service and sacrifices of the brave men and women who served, and honor their legacy of courage and resilience. It is a day to remember the sacrifices made, the lessons learned, and the enduring legacy of those who served. Remember the close to 3 million that served in country, and the 58,000 plus that paid the ultimate price. Those who never returned home, and those who continue to bear the scars of war, both physically and emotionally. And let us not forget the other 9 million that served on active duty during the Vietnam era for their courage and dedication to support the troops on the ground. Many Vietnam veterans returned to a nation that struggled to understand or appreciate the sacrifices we made. The Vietnam War was complex and divisive. We must be mindful of the human cost of war, both for our soldiers and for the people of the countries where we were engaged in conflict. Upon returning home, we never received a homecoming. If it wasn't for the support and understanding that I received from my family, I don't think that I have been able to cope with my life. Many Vietnam veterans turned to drugs, some to alcohol, and many to suicide, while others molded into the community and got on with their lives. There is one area that is really not talked about much, and I call it the silent killer, Agent Orange. It is so sad that many died from the effects of Agent Orange and never received the treatment that they earned or deserved. There were many issues that came out of the Vietnam War, one being the POW MIA. It was the Vietnam veterans that wanted all to be accounted for, and to this day, we try and get total accountability. In 1971, Mary Hawk, the wife of Lieutenant Commander Michael Hawk, who was an MIA, was the lead on getting the POW MIA flag designed, and it is the only flag the Stars and Stripes that flies at the nation's capital. And in 1982, the Vietnam Wall in Washington was dedicated. It is the most visited monument in Washington. If you want to learn about history, go on your computer and read about the Vietnam Wall and the families, the fathers and sons and brothers that are listed. It is mind-boggling. To every Vietnam veteran here today, always remember that you served with honor. The days in Vietnam can never be replaced. Your fellow service members that lost their lives on the battlefields of Vietnam did so trying to save a democracy. Something that every American should realize, that the price of freedom is something that you cannot put a price on, because the loss of life is priceless. I would like to thank you for your service and welcome you home. And to all of the other veterans here today, whether you served in peacetime or in time of conflict, thank you. Just remember that the only heroes that we have are veterans that are buried in cemeteries across this great nation and throughout this world. They can't be here with us today. But keep them in your thoughts and prayers. They have paid the ultimate price for the freedom that we enjoy today. This is a time for remembrance, a time for gratitude, and a time to reaffirm our commitment to never forgetting the lessons of this war. Let us ensure that the sacrifices of the Vietnam veterans are never forgotten, and their legacy of courage and resilience continue to inspire us. In closing, no matter how long that you serve, the rank that you achieve, or the awards that you receive, we all serve with the same core values of the American servicemen. I say to each Vietnam veteran, you have been, you are, and always shall be honored and welcome home. Thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your unwavering dedication to our nation. May God bless Vietnam veterans, and may God bless America.
Thank you, Rich. Really great speech. It's my honor we have a special guest with us, Senior Senator from Connecticut, the Honorable Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, there's an old saying that a picture's worth 1,000 words. This picture is worth 1,000 of my words. You're being here today in these numbers with this spirit. The people who are here today, patriots, dedicated citizens, many of you Vietnam veterans, I want to thank every single one of you for showing us what is important about America and what is important about being an American. Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to take this picture back with me to our nation's capital tomorrow when I go and tell them this is what National Vietnam Day looks like in America and Connecticut. I want all of the veterans who are here today, if you haven't been recognized, I want to do it again. Please raise your hand if you have served our great nation. Thank you for your service, every single one of you, whether it was in Vietnam or in Afghanistan or Iraq. You are the role models for our children, for my 4 children. One of them in the Marine Corps in Afghanistan as a combat infantry officer. Another of my sons as a Navy SEAL. You are their role models, the role models for patriotism and service and sacrifice in America today. 8 of Milford's best sons are memorialized in Washington on the Vietnam Wall. 8 of them from Milford alone, many others from Connecticut. In Connecticut, we know the meaning of service and sacrifice, and you have it before you in this picture today. And let me say, just finally, today is not only about remembering. It is about looking forward. It is about staying strong as a nation, because we are the bulwark of the world's freedom, not just ours. We are the defenders of rights and democracy here in this country and around the world, and we need to keep faith with our veterans, looking forward, not just today. Honor them, not just in words, but in action. Healthcare, jobs, skill training, no matter what the era of their service. In honoring our Vietnam veterans, let's do it with action to help our veterans today. Leave no veteran behind. And that goes for the invisible wounds of war. We know now that many of those veterans, and perhaps a number of you, returned with those invisible wounds of war. PTSD, which was not even a term at the time. Agent Orange, or the invisible contaminants, the chemicals, and in Afghanistan and Iraq, the burn pit. That's why we fought so hard for the PAC Act. Those invisible wounds deserve to be respected and treated, and we have that obligation to all of our veterans, looking forward now and in the future. So my thanks to every single one of you for being here today, for showing us the meaning of patriotism and the meaning of recognition and remembering every single veteran who has served our great country in uniform. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you.
Our last speaker on the green today is Dave Fox. I'm going to have one of his Dennis Neely step up and introduce him. Dennis is a Vietnam veteran. Dennis.
Okay, thank you so much, all of you, for being here. What I'd like to do if I could is just give you a little bit of background on the gentleman that's going to be talking. And can you hear me back there? I got it. Now? Right now. The mic down.
Well, 1, 2, 3.
Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we shall begin. The gentleman I'd like to introduce, he graduated from the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland in 1967. Dave has served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam as a first lieutenant. Okay, as a first lieutenant on various destroyers and cruises, primarily in the Gulf of Tonkin, right off the coast of Hanoi. Today, Dave is now the CFO, Treasurer, Trustee, and member of the Executive Committee of the Fisher House Foundation, and he has been in this position for over 30 years. At this time, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you Dave Fox.
Good morning. If you can't hear me at any point, please raise your hand. I'll do the best I can with the sound. My name is David Fox. I'm a Vietnam veteran with 2 tours. More importantly, I've volunteered for many years in endeavors in support of our men and women who've served our country. And frankly, aside from my family, my volunteering has been the most important endeavor of a lifetime of 80 years. It is a privilege to be asked to be here today speaking with you. As background, I enlisted in the Navy at 17 and a half as a minority enlistee. Later in the fleet, I took a test, won an appointment to the Naval Academy, and graduated in 1967. That was a pretty busy time to be going into the military, as so many of you know. We had 870 graduates in my class. More than 600 of us served in Vietnam. You might wonder, of the others who didn't serve, they were on submarines, they were in other places serving across the world. We all served. I've never spoken to anyone in my time who I served with in the Navy who wasn't thrilled with the experience they had had in terms of the contributions that they could make. The youngest graduate in my class at the Naval Academy went into the Marine Corps. He was killed 3 months later after graduation. First one killed. My class has more than 30 names on that awful but so meaningful black piece of granite in Washington, D.C. I visited his family. And Chief, I think your remarks were so good about family. Everybody serves. It's not just the individual, it's the family and the community. I visited his family after he was lost, and I stayed in touch for a number of years. They were never the same. Never the same. Across the country, people mark this occasion with ceremonies hosted by local veterans like this one, and it's beautiful. It's really wonderful. And thank you, Senator, for going back to Washington tomorrow and talking about it. It means a lot to all of us. There's no doubt that the Vietnam War was one of the most brutal. In fact, there were more than 3 million casualties in Vietnam when you count civilians, North Vietnamese, South Vietnamese, and ours who served. The Vietnam War has a long history, one of the longest facing America. It actually started in 1955 after Dien Bien Phu, when the French suffered a terrible defeat. It went on till 1975 for 20 years. Here's a few statistics about Vietnam that I find interesting. When you look across the time period of Vietnam, 9 million Americans served in the military at that period of time. 6.4 million of those Americans are alive today. 2.7 million Americans served in Vietnam. 58,000 names are memorialized in black granite in that incredible monument in Washington, D.C. 304,000 were wounded. 1,253 were missing in action. Now here's a statistic that I find quite interesting. The average age of soldiers serving in Vietnam was 19 years of age. 19. The average age in World War II was 26. Not to diminish World War II, put in perspective the youth. The Medal of Honor was awarded 258 times. We spent, as a government, $140 billion on the Vietnam War, which translates today to roughly $1 trillion. This day recognizes everyone. It's special to me, special to all of us. It doesn't just recognize those soldiers, sailors, men and women who fought in it. It recognizes anyone who was involved in a community, in a family. Now quickly, let me turn to one part that you may find interesting locally. I've served in many capacities in an organization called the Fisher House Foundation, which you may or may not be familiar with. We have, last week, we were at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. for the commemoration, the opening of our 100th house. We provide free room and board for anyone who has a family member in a military hospital or a VA hospital. Free. Everything is included. We have such a home in West Haven, and Senator, you were there when we opened it. They're very, very busy. We have offered these services, let's say, not offered, but actually delivered these services to more than 12 million military families. It's a great thrill that we're able to do it. So in closing, one can't be too brief in this beautiful spring weather, but I thank you for being here. I ask you to please keep in mind my thought of a family serves. They provide the support, they provide the worry, they provide the prayer. And the service member puts country above self. We're here, not all of us, some can't be. It's our mission in their respect, and as a result of the work and the contributions many of you made, to go out and enjoy life. Celebrate what we have, and to reflect on those who serve today and have served. I thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It was very nice. You know, I stand there, there's an old saying, careful what you wish for, your wish may come true. Well, Tommy and I had this dream, along with Billy, about covering the green in flags, and through the city and Mayor, we were able to accomplish that. As you walk around, just take a quick look around the monument. There are the 616 flags, 615, pardon me, flags, which represent the killed in action in Vietnam. And standing in front of the flags in front of here represent the 8 Milford men that died during Vietnam. And as you go down through the banners and look at the flags, a lot of them were purchased by people, and the ones that have the yellow tags, and they'll be honored. And all of the banners you see there represent donations that were given to us. Tom, I, and Bill Repko are unaffiliated with any organization. We belong to many, but we took this endeavor on our own. And every single dime, and we guarantee this, and we will publish it, every single dime that we collect from this event, and it looks like it's going to be somewhere around $15,000, will get donated to the veteran crisis community. Some of it will go to Carlton Towers. They gave us a promise, which I thought was really unique. They said, if you give us money, we will guarantee you that we will solve veteran homelessness in this country. Not we're going to try. They said, you can use that statement when you're there on Saturday. We guarantee we will stop veteran homelessness in this country. That's a big statement. Some of our money will also go to veteran suicide, and then the remaining of it will divide up among local veteran charities. And so, that being said, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Master Chief Iannucci for our retirement of the colors.
Let's please rise again. Yes, please rise. We'll now retrieve the colors. And salute.
I'm sure everybody is aware that we're going to leave here, take a little time. We'll get over to the Parsons building, and we'll all get a chance to sit down. And it's going to be quite an experience. Mayor Giantasio has really stepped up to the plate and given us access to their video there. We've had pictures sent in from people that are here with their experiences in Vietnam, and they're going to be playing on a large screen. We have another band, and we have some rather unique ceremonies that we'll do there. And so everyone is welcome. Again, Vietnam veterans, welcome home.
First Sergeant Aaron Logan.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hey, so this is completely unplanned. I just listened to these gentlemen speak, felt inspired, and thought I'd say a little something. Vietnam. But that sucks. Have a seat. Sit down, please. There's a lot of things that we learned from Vietnam that maybe we didn't apply to some of the things that I've been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I think there's a legacy that a lot of Vietnam veterans don't realize they have. And that's the fact that you gentlemen and ladies went through something absolutely horrible when you came home, on how you were treated. And it's because of you and the stuff that you went through that you ensured my generation didn't endure the same horror. And from the bottom of my heart, grandson of a Vietnam veteran, Love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. On behalf of my generation.
Hope everybody will join us over at the Parsons Complex. And we'll dismiss here from the green.
If anybody needs directions how to get over here, come see us. Also, there's some coffee behind us. Help yourself before heading over. Thank you. There's also a shuttle bus that's going around here, so if you see it, you grab it. It's going throughout the day over to the auditorium and train station and plus. Thank you.